And we are live. It says Hangout on Air's live. Okay, great. Welcome to Hangout. Glad you're here with us today. And we're going to talk about social media and why that's become so important and critical for business, particularly. This is one of the Hangouts that I'm doing in my Speed to Profit Marketing series. I think this is the 19th one. So on my YouTube channel, under the Speed to Profit Marketing playlist, there are 18 hours of instruction about my Speed to Profit Marketing program, which is the best program actually for creating compelling story and defining unique value in the world. And it is very successful for myself and my clients, and it's really exciting. And I've been doing Hangouts now for several months. And you're welcome to take a look at all those and see if there's value for you there. It would be great. So we're going to talk today as a follow-on to the ones we did the last 3 weeks, which were about authenticity. And we're going to talk about how that relates to social media and what a difference that makes in businesses these days, and why that is so important to clients, and what you can do as a business to create authentic value and to be authentic, create an authentic persona. And I realize people have different meanings for that word, and it's a charged word, but it's certainly one that is tossed around a lot these days. So welcome to this Hangout today, and we're glad to have you here. So the first thing, let's talk about why we're here. So marketing has clearly changed. The Speed to Profit Marketing program that I've created and all these Hangouts that I've done, and all of the other people that are teaching marketing too, it all emphasizes different things. We've moved physically to a different stuff. We used to use advertisements like billboards and yellow pages, and billboards have changed. They've become technology advanced, and they change pictures and flaps and all that kind of stuff so they can fit 2 or 3 or 4 advertisements in one billboard. But basically, the yellow pages are just gone, gone online, actually. And so things have changed, and they've changed considerably, and that's made it more difficult and easier at the same time. That might sound like an oxymoron, but it has. Excuse me, it's harder if you don't understand how to do it, and it's easier if you do. And so understanding how the new media work, how to get it to work for you, and how to get your message in front of your ideal client, the people that are hungry for your product and service, is the key, right? I mean, if you could have a room full of people that needed exactly what you offer, and you were able to have them in front of you for an hour and be able to talk to them, and offer them, explain to them the benefits of your product and service, you'd be in business heaven, right? Okay, so we're here today to talk about the evolution of social media just a little bit, how it relates to business, and how social media has gone from a waste of time to peripheral activity to central and essential business work. I just was exchanging emails, in fact, before this Hangout with a client who is just now realizing how important this is, and begging for help with Hangouts and the social media strategy so that they can show up powerfully and get their message and their benefits that they offer in front of their ideal client. So that's why we're here. We're here to talk about that today and get some specific strategies. I promised you 3 things in the Hangout today, and one of them was why social media is so important. The second one was how to get some specific strategies about what to do. And the third one was a path from engagement to cash. And so we're going to cover those 3 things as we go through the Hangout today. The first thing I want to mention is there's some housekeeping stuff. I hold Speed to Profit Marketing events. This is really, really exciting. I actually had the second event of the year scheduled next week, June 9th, 10th, and 11th, and some wonderful things have happened that have caused me to postpone it 3 weeks. It's going to be June 30th, July 1st, and 2nd, which I am thrilled about and excited. I needed to, I'm going to have to pay a couple of people's change fees for flights and things like that, but that's a so what. The people coming are really excited too because of what's happening. We're going to have some really cool stuff that I'm not going to share right now because it's proprietary, but it's caused me to move the event 3 weeks, and it's really totally worth it, and I'm so excited. So anyway, if the speed to profit marketing idea, which is, positioning, execution, and results, or when people ask me what I do, I say, I help businesses double, triple, or multiply their income by 10 and create the lifestyle they want and the legacy they choose and serve the family and community they love. And they ask me, well, how do you do that? And the answer is the speed to profit marketing system helps you discover, develop, and deliver your personal story. Take that personal story and turn it into a unique selling advantage, and then use those two things to create that irresistible #1 positioning online. One of the big tools to do that, of course, is social media, which is one of the things we're talking about. It's the one we're talking about today, and it's one of the key pieces to getting your presence found, and found in a powerful way so you become the answer instead of just another option. So that's the event. We have periodic, I have 4 of them during the year. Speed to profit marketing, it's very intense, very small, 12 people max, and we work very specifically on your business. Really hard and really tangibly. This is not a program where you sit, but we actually work on it. And at the last one in March, by lunch, literally the first day, one of the people there was talking about they were getting the phone to ring, and their phone was ringing off the hook by the end of the 3 days, applying the strategies that they learned, and it's actually doing. So part of the stuff that we do during the intensive is doing. If any of this interests you, then there's a URL there, speedtoprofitmarketing.com/event, to check and see if any of this is right for you and your business at this time. So I'm also starting a group coaching program next Monday, June 9th. It'll be a 1 hour a week hangout like this, where I talk about speed to profit marketing. The cool thing is it's going to also involve some hot seats. So I'm going to have a group. The people that belong to my inner circle mastermind are going to be in it, but there's also going to be others. And so if the group coaching environment, learning the principles of the 21st century marketing, or what I call speed to profit marketing, which is accelerated positioning and cash, appeal to you, then the speed to profit marketing group coaching might be something you want to look at too. There's a URL there on that slide as well, speedtoprofitmarketing.com/group coaching. Okay, so we're going to take just a minute here and review what we've done. Like I said, this is the 19th of these Hangouts. So this is hour number 19 we've spent together reviewing these or talking about these principles. And really quickly, this is what we talked about on the other ones. Okay, the first one, and I'm going to go through these really fast because 19 is a lot. But the first one was how to find clients online and how to find them fast. How to find your clients, your ideal clients, people that are hungry for the product or service you provide. How to find them online, how to find them fast. The second one was about building rapport. It's all well and good to find them. After you find them, what do you do? How do you get them to know, like, and trust you? What are the steps necessary so people, want to do business with you? And that's a key piece, obviously, of doing business, is that know, like, and trust. The third one was something that's really interesting. People will pay to have their problems solved. Okay, they won't pay just to be your friend, but they will pay to have your problem solved. So the third one was how to solve problems and get paid fast. Everything about it is keyed on fast. The fourth one was about how to form long-term relationships fast. Now that might seem like a bit of an oxymoron. Long-term relationships fast? There are steps that we go through in forming a relationship. This is not a mystery, and it's not news. There's a process that we as humans go through in a relationship. Our digital connectedness, these Hangouts, video, instantaneous Skyping and chatting all over the place, have given us the ability to move through the steps of relationship creation a lot faster. So if you do it in an intentional and focused way, yes, you can create a long-term, serious relationship very quickly, and do it in a very authentic way if you're willing to follow the steps. So that was what that was about. The next two were about this Hangout medium itself. So I went through them very thoroughly, the tips and applications. The second one was advanced secrets about that, and so again, it was teaching people exactly how to use these Hangouts that we're using today and all the applications that are involved in them. The next two were about YouTube. Now, as you know, YouTube is owned by Google. YouTube is the largest search engine in the world. More people Google stuff on YouTube than on Google. So they look stuff up there, and what that means really for your business is if you're not on YouTube, you're dead. You're on the way out. And the reason is because that's where people are looking. And you can argue with that, and you can say, well, it doesn't apply to me. Yeah, okay. But the fact is it's still the largest search engine, and it is for a couple of reasons. We like to see who we're doing business with. We like to know them. And we also like to see how stuff works. The other thing that's really cool is video is such a connected medium. Video is such a connected medium. Bob, you've joined us. Thank you. I'm going to mute you there.
That's kind of our parent company now. Yeah, it handles.
All right, buddy. There we go. Main Bob O'Connor has joined us, and I was muting him because he had a little echo in the background. Anyway, so the next two that we did were YouTube, YouTube Part 1 and Part 2, and the reason YouTube's so important is because Hangouts are connected to YouTube, and all of the marketing that we do with Hangouts can be stored and is stored and hosted for free on YouTube. And not using that to your best advantage, of course, is a huge wasted opportunity. But you have to know how to use it. So these two Hangouts went over YouTube in detail about how to use different things and how to get things to work for you there. Then we spent 3 Hangouts on something very heavy. It's called the money triangle. Now that takes a day and a half at the event to teach and start application. But the money triangle is a proprietary system that I developed that talks about how to get your ideal client to pour money on you. And if you connect the 3 corners of the money triangle, they do that, and it's fantastic. It works for me and it works for my clients in droves, and it is really powerful. So there are 3 Hangouts on the money triangle, Part 1, 2, and 3. Hey, there's 3 corners in a triangle. What do you know? Then I did a couple of Hangouts that were interesting. I began getting a lot of questions about high-ticket events. Now, I have a high-ticket VIP coaching day that I offer, and it's expensive. It's in 5 figures for a single day. And so I started getting a lot of questions about high-ticket days, and the questions were 2 kinds, and so I did 2 Hangouts. One was, why do you have, what in the world do you do on a high-ticket day? So I spent a Hangout talking about what high-ticket days are, what you do, and why you need them. And actually, it's really surprising. You actually need to have them, both for you and for your client, whether they take advantage of it or not, because it changes the way you think about your product and service, and it changes the perceived value you provide from clients, even ones that don't use your high-ticket days. So the first one was about why you need them, and the second one was about how to market them. So there's a couple of Hangouts on high-ticket days that are really good, too. Then I talked about, the next one was a business explosion, and it centered around speed, value, and service, how to create an explosion of business with speed, value, and service. And then we spent one Hangout on a fatal mistake. And the reason I did that is because over and over again I see a fatal mistake being made, and that is in people's exuberance to sell things and to prove that they offer cool stuff, they overpromise, or they make it feel like they provide services that are not matched with the client's expectations. And the biggest single mistake that will kill you is promising things that you don't deliver. There not being an alignment between what you portray as a product or service and what the customers actually buy. And we broke it down into several categories, like bolts at Home Depot, they're just do it yourself, right? You go buy a bolt and nobody holds your hand or anything, you just use it. The next one was sort of instructions, kind of like medication. You get the doctor's office, you take a prescription, you get instructions about how to use it, right? And without those instructions, you might be in trouble. Of course, a funny example of that is build-it-yourself furniture from like IKEA or something. We all have had that experience of building it forever and still needing more help than the instructions give. That's still with instructions. And of course, there's the done with you model where you get some kind of group or individual coaching. And then on top of that, there's the done for you model, which is even more involved. Great to have more people join us. I am going to mute these out as they come on so that we'll if you want, if you have questions, and we'll have a Q&A toward the end, and put it in the chat, and I've got staff here that will take a look in the chat, and we'll open it up for questions later. So if you haven't muted yourself, I'm muting you, just so that we don't get too much feedback from noise in the room. Then I did 3 hangouts on authenticity in marketing, and that is something that is a huge change that's going on right now. There is a craving, there is a drive, there is a need for authenticity. So I did 3 hangouts, and they were the last 3, on why it's important, what it looks like, and how you can do it. So if those are questions that you have, what authenticity is, what does that mean? It's a word that's thrown around a lot. What does it mean in business? And then what does it look like? You know, what would it be for you to do? And then actually, how would you go about that? And then, of course, we talked about why it's critical for your business. I subtitled that one, how telling the truth makes you money. And it actually does, because we live in an age where we are so buried with choices and so buried with information that we need trusted advisors or help or advice that we know we can rely on, and occupying that place for someone, whether you're a financial guy or a marketing guy or anything else, is key to success and will elevate you above your competition. So authenticity and being, you know, appropriately vulnerable. I say appropriately because probably no one wants to know about certain aspects of your life, but hey, appropriately vulnerable and using appropriate disclosure is key, actually, to business success. So that brings us to today, and that is, so we're going to talk today about social media. So the first question is, well, why do we even, what is it and why do we use it? Well, we all know the names: Facebook and G+ and Twitter and YouTube and LinkedIn and Pinterest, and then there's 15 smaller ones that Instagram and Tumblr and on and on and on. So what is it about social media that is so attractive? Well, first of all, it's like clubs. So here's some things I wrote down about why we do this. First of all, it's fun. Okay? It's fun. It makes us feel connected. It's like, you know, country clubs and knitting clubs and groups that we used to belong to. It makes us part of a group, and we really like that as human beings. That belongingness is really good, and so that's one of the reasons we use it. Also, people use it to communicate like we used to use the phone. I mean, grandma with her grandchildren and friends that are, you know, haven't been in touch with each other for years are grateful for the opportunity to connect with social media and to use it. And so that it has grown, like Facebook, I think, started in 2006. It's 2014, so in the last 7 or 8 years, it has exploded. You know that there's, I think, 1.2 or 3 billion Facebook accounts, enormous numbers of people on all of the social media. Google Plus is a quasi-social media platform. Twitter, of course, is big, with lots of people following people's chirps and tweets and opinions that just fly out like opinions do, right? And YouTube, of course, is not only, YouTube's interesting, it's a social media place, it is a search engine, and it is a massive force on its own. And YouTube is a force to be reckoned with. And if you don't use that in your business, and you're not taking advantage of the opportunity that YouTube gives you to both create your persona, leverage your power and your positioning, and advertise your business, then you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And it doesn't really matter what your business is. And more businesses are realizing that, and you know, launching fledgling campaigns on YouTube. I have a client. Oh dear. Okay. There. Is that fixed? This one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. I had staff here. I made a mistake, I guess. I didn't have some technical piece working correctly. So there we go. Is it okay now?
I just see a little circle with your face.
Okay, so I'm understanding that my video's not working.
Let's ask.
Huh?
I'll ask.
I see my video's not working. I'm seeing myself, but just a minute. Hang on just a minute. Is it working now?
Let me check.
So I'm sorry. I understand that my avatar was showing, my little person, the picture I have with the yellow shirt on, and no.
Just a minute.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Good. We're running. Thank you. Okay. Anyway, so the next question is: so why is it important for business? We covered the review, and I forgot to change the slide. So why social media? That's what we're going to talk about right now. Well, why social media is because that's where everybody is, first of all. The reason social media is important is, you know, we do billboard advertising, and people that drive by get interrupted. It's called interruption-style advertising. Television commercials, you know, it interrupts the program. Billboards interrupt you as you're thinking and you're driving down the road. Bumper stickers, the same thing, lawn signs. Interruption advertising is not very effective, and people are not responding to it a lot. Social media, on the other hand, is a place where people go. They go willingly and with an intent, and often they go there to connect, and they spend significant amounts of time. I'm not prepared today with all of the statistics, but people spend sometimes hours a day. I don't have the statistics in front of me about how many hours a day people spend on Facebook, but combined on all of the social media, they spend significant time on there. So if that's where your clients or your potential clients are, then it makes sense, of course, for you to be there as well. That's the same reason we talked about YouTube. You know that YouTube has 1 billion unique visitors per month. 1 billion unique visitors per month looking stuff up on YouTube. So if that's where people are looking, then of course that's where you need to be if you want to be found. So I want to talk about the evolution, because I remember very clearly, and I know you do too, that not very long ago, Facebook was considered a waste of time. In fact, I remember post after post after post of people raging about Facebook. It's a total waste of time, no business, nobody ever buys anything, absolute, and people were rabid in their opinions about that. And Facebook was used as sort of the whipping boy for all social media. The idea was that social media in general was a waste of time. And it moved from social media being a complete waste of time to it being kind of peripheral. A while ago, Facebook started allowing ads. Even before that, applications started being developed where you could direct people to tabs on Facebook business pages or personality pages. Excuse me, there were applications that let you, collect names and emails, and then you could use them in your email campaign. So it became kind of a peripheral. You couldn't ignore it anymore. You had to kind of start to pay attention. And now it's migrated from peripheral to absolutely central. If you are not using social media in your business, you are leaving not only money on the table, but you might very likely be headed out of business. Okay? And I titled this Hangout The New Word of Mouth because every person that gives you a referral, that is the best advertising. It is the best, it is the sweetest, it is the most high converting. Someone that tells their friend. We've got examples of that. Joy, my wife and business partner, had something wrong with her shoulder, a frozen shoulder or something, and we were looking around for a specialist, didn't know what to do, and I went to a choir practice for a choir that I'm in. It's quite good, it's professional. In fact, I just came back from Los Angeles recording another album with them for 2 days last weekend. But anyway, somebody in that choir, I saw him one day, and he had a sling on. And so I said, hey, Matt, what's the matter with your arm? And he told me he had a shoulder problem, and turns out to be not identical, but almost identically the same problem that my wife Joy was having trouble with. So I said to him, of course, oh, wow, who's your doctor? And he told me Dr. XYZ. And I said, well, did you like him? Yeah, he was great. He did a great job, quick. One time, perfect, et cetera, et cetera. So that referral got Dr. X, another client, and those are the best, and that's the best kind. My point today is that social media is an extension of word of mouth. It doesn't replace it because people still talk, I hope not. People still talk in stores, at church, clubs, and at school and wherever. But social media is a huge augmentation of word of mouth. You get review sites, Yelp, and other places where people can place their opinions. Facebook posts and rants that go viral not only are powerful, but they can be deadly as well. There was a case recently where a doctor had done a plastic surgery on a woman and her nose, the ubiquitous nose job, right? And she hated it, and so she started getting angry about it and maltreating him, maligning him in her Facebook newsfeed. He sued her and won a multiple $million-dollar settlement, which caused enormous hardship for her. I think the article reported that she lost her home even over it. Now, I didn't verify any of the truth of that, but the point is, it's powerful. The doctor was able to demonstrate to the satisfaction of a jury that her social media, word of mouth, posting had slandered or maligned him sufficiently that he won a lawsuit for multiple millions of dollars. So if it can work that way negatively, it can also work that way positively. The key, and I'm going to say it again, the what? Oh yeah, the key is to use it intentionally and with a purpose. Spending hours, commenting and liking cats on roller skates videos and people trying to fly between houses and falling on their face, oh that hurts videos and stuff like that, aren't going to add much to your bottom line unless you sell, face guards. Okay, so they're not the ones that you need to be doing, but an intentional, calculated social media strategy is key for your business success. Let's say that again. A comprehensive, intentional, planned social media strategy is key for your business. If you're not using it, you're leaving money on the table, and the more time goes by, the more money you're going to be leaving on the table. So social media moved from a waste of time, a stupid place where people show baby pictures, to peripheral, where applications came. You could gather names and emails, you could drive people to websites. Facebook had a warning, you're leaving Facebook. They've deleted all that stuff. It has become now, and that was when it was peripheral and you could use it for some things, all the way over to it's completely essential, in fact a centerpiece of many business marketing plans. Again, what it is, and it's not just Facebook, but all of the social media combined, and which pieces you emphasize and how much you do on each one depends on your business. So let's use some examples about that. If your business is to sell flowers or take pictures, and you do flower shops and weddings, Pinterest and Facebook are your centerpieces. Your presence on LinkedIn wouldn't be very interesting. Tweets might be helpful and effective as well. But Facebook and Pinterest, because Pinterest is about pictures. 85% of women in the country are on Pinterest, and so the pictures of arrangements and weddings and things would be key. Get your posts repinned and so forth. So there is a strategy, and the fun part about this is there is a strategy, a developed strategy for the use of each of the social media platforms. Now you tweak the strategy based on what you're doing, and you emphasize different social media depending on what you do. So LinkedIn, for example, is a professional network. The rules are different. People don't hang out on LinkedIn like they hang out on Facebook or hang out on video hangouts here on Google+. But they go to LinkedIn to find things. So you might join, LinkedIn has a bunch of groups. You belong to different groups based on your needs. So I belong to several speaking groups. And you can participate in those groups in ways that bring you business, very specifically, but you do it in a different way. So a little bit later here in the broadcast, we're going to talk about a specific example of strategy on 2 or 3 of the social media platforms to give you an idea of how that works. In the comments section of the Hangout, please be putting comments that you have, obviously, during this. So things that occur to you and questions and so forth, please put them in the comments section of the Hangout or in the Hangout itself. If you're inside, or if you're watching on YouTube, put it on the comment page. We're going to get to questions in a little bit and some further discussion. So let me talk about. I have a a little card here that I like these little cards, right? Social media went from a waste of time. Whoops. There we go. It went from a waste of time to peripheral to central in 7 years. 2006 to today, 8 years, I guess. So it is now a central pillar. So the next piece I want to talk about, we don't have time today to talk about all of the different social media. There's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, G+, and YouTube are the ones I'm going to talk about today. I might make a special mention of Pinterest in a couple places. But I want to take now some time and talk specifically about strategy. So why it's important, we just talked about. The second thing I promised you was specific strategy about using some of the different social media to get customers and make money, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So let's talk about Facebook for a minute. It's the biggest one. It has the most people on it, and they spend the most time on it. Okay? It is the biggest one. It has the most people, and they spend the most minutes or hours a day on Facebook. The first piece of a Facebook strategy is be vulnerable, be real, be authentic. Now, we talked for 3 whole hangouts about authenticity, about why it's important, how telling the truth makes you money, about what it is and how you can do it. So if you want details on what it means when I say be authentic or be willing to be vulnerable, you need to check those hangouts for details, but I'll talk about it for a minute here. People look you up on Facebook to see who you are. I have seen at networking events, I've seen people introduce each other, and immediately one or the other or both of them will start looking up their websites and their Facebook page. And the reason they do that is they want to see who you are. They want to see who you really are. And funny enough, the persona that you present to them at the networking event, if it differs from the persona that they see on the Facebook page, they'll believe the Facebook page 9 times out of 10. And the reason is because they assume that you're putting on a front for them and that Facebook is the real you. Now that might be scary to think about, but it's true. And so what you put on Facebook needs to be what you intend for people to think about you. Let's say that again. What you post on Facebook needs to be what you intend for people to think about you. And I'm not suggesting creating a Facebook persona and a whole list of posts that present you as someone other than who you are. What I am suggesting is be who you are. Be real and be authentic in an intelligent way on Facebook, so that when people look you up, and they will, and they come see you in person, it's like, oh yeah, the same person. I'm seeing the same person. That right there by itself, it creates a feeling of authenticity and realness. So if you choose to use Facebook just for baby pictures and communicating with kids and nothing to do with business, you can do that. You'll be leaving a lot of money on the table, and I don't advise any of my clients to do that. I advise them to use Facebook intentionally for business. And that doesn't mean you can't put family pictures and other things on Facebook. Quite the contrary, you should. But you should also be intelligently and intentionally crafting a message on your Facebook wall that presents not only your dedication and devotion to family and whatever hobbies you have, but the message of the kind of person you are in business. So let's go back to my flower shop example that might be on Facebook, or flower arranger or wedding photographer or something. If, for example, in addition to whatever family things they did, half of the posts talk about their relationship with the camera, their love affair with excellent composition and pictures of weddings they've taken. I call this Facebook wall the moving call to action, because I use this motion, because as you scroll down the wall, if the wall has a consistent feeling to it, then you get a sense about a person. If they're always posting high adventure sports pictures, and in fact they lead a fitness group and their business is guiding high adventure whitewater or mountain climbing, you see a sense of congruence and consistency. You can actually do this with any business. I have not yet had a client or prospect come to me with a business, it doesn't matter if it's online or offline business, and say, I can't use this, and me not be able to show them in 5 minutes or less, to their amazement, how much money and opportunity they've been leaving on the table because they're not making Facebook a central pillar of their business persona and who they are. So that's a Facebook strategy, is create a consistent feeling of who you are that is related to your business, and use it on your Facebook wall on purpose, interspersed with whatever personal things you think are appropriate that don't detract. Now, you don't want to put yourself out as a fitness person and then have several pictures of drunken debauchery from last weekend's party, because it's going to create an antithetical feeling to who you are and who you're trying to, the persona you're trying to create. So you have to be intelligent about what you do. And if you say, wow, that limits me so I can't post everything I do on Facebook, the answer is yeah, that's right. It does. Get over it. All right, so let's talk about LinkedIn for a minute. A LinkedIn strategy is different. LinkedIn mainly works with either personal connections or in groups. Now, personal connections, you can get to know someone personally. You can reach out and exchange some emails if you're connected, in-mails they call them, and you can approach them about things that they're doing and so forth. That's one-to-one, and that works. And there's a strategy you can go through about reaching out to make those kinds of connections. The easiest way, and it'll take longer than we have today to talk about, the easiest LinkedIn strategy is to get yourself belonging to groups that are related to what you do. So I'll give you an example. I speak in public. I'm a keynote and motivational speaker, so I belong to several speaking groups. I need a speaker. Be a speaker, find a speaker. Professional Speakers Association, there's half a dozen groups. There's probably 200 or 500 speaking groups. I researched them. I found groups that were useful to me, and I joined the groups, and then I participate in the comment threads. After you participate in the comment threads for even a short period of time, assuming you don't do something besides, oh, that's cool, but you actually make substantive comments, even if you disagree, they're insightful, they're carefully thought out, you begin to be recognized in those groups. When that happens, you can then begin starting your own posts and threads, because people recognize you as someone with an intelligent opinion and who has regularly participated. That draws a lot of interaction, and then you're in a position for people to reach out and talk to you. So I will give you an example, and they do. I will give you an example for me. I did some work on LinkedIn. I got an email from someone in one day that said, we need to talk. I got on a Skype call with them, and they hired me as a coach, a business coach, to help them with their business. It came from a LinkedIn post and LinkedIn activity and profile and so forth that I had maintained there. So belonging to groups, participating intelligently, and projecting, again, the business presence you want is a LinkedIn strategy. We'll do one more so that we won't run out of time, and that is YouTube. I mentioned that YouTube is the largest search engine. Getting videos up about what you do is really important. Now, hear me when I say what you do. What does that mean? What you do isn't, okay, I sell tires, my tires are the best tires, and just talking about yourself over and over again. First of all, the average view time on YouTube is about 72 seconds. So 10-minute product videos aren't very interesting and won't get watched. However, videos that you might make, let's say you do sell tires, and let's say one of the things you sell is adventure tires that go on sand rails. So a couple videos about people who have bought tires from your shop that have used the rails in the dunes might be a real interesting way to get people involved in watching your stuff. Now, we're talking about LinkedIn. We're talking about YouTube. I'm sorry, we already did LinkedIn. YouTube, that would be a very good candidate for a viral video. So a high adventure video taken from a GoPro and somebody, and then linked back to your tire shop because they bought your tires. So that is an example of how a bricks and mortar store, tire shop, could be, using a YouTube strategy, and then to create a presence. After you have videos like that, then there's an optimization strategy where you pick the right words, So adventure, driving, or dune activities, and then optimize those videos so that if people search in the largest search engine, which is YouTube, then they will be able to find your videos and, of course, find you. Now, there's a whole piece to that strategy, because videos can now be you can add to videos calls to action that pop in halfway through. You can add, lower thirds which talk about your store. You can put a strip at the bottom that says, just has your URL on there the whole time, so that someone watching that then, says, for your tires, go here. Well, if they're in the market for tires, they'll go look at it. So that is a YouTube strategy to promote videos on YouTube that are short, that are interesting, that are to the point, and that are related to the kinds of things that you do. So I do that, and again, a personal example, I use that in coaching all the time. So I post all these hangouts that are on YouTube about marketing. I also post videos about breakthrough work, about motivation, about accomplishment, about procrastination, about fear, about the things that bother us and keep us from achieving our goals. And not all of them, half of them, have an invitation to go to a website to either get on the list or to sign up for more information. It's been very successful, and I have clients that I've also, brought into my practice from that method. So we've talked about Facebook, we've talked about LinkedIn, we've talked about YouTube. And there are others, but those are specific examples of things that you can learn how to do if you want to make a big difference and if you want to use social media so you stop leaving so much money on the table. Again, all of these things are covered in enormous depth in Speed to Profit marketing, particularly at the intensive and in the private coaching. So let's talk about the last piece, which is the path. So the third thing I said you get today is the path from engagement to cash. All right, so let's talk about the path from engagement to cash. Throwing up random posts, random videos, and unrelated, social media engagement isn't going to bring you in any money unless you sell some kind of weirdness product, right? That isn't the way to do it. So the first thing you have to do is, just like any other marketing, it has to be intentional. I am intending to create a persona, a business persona, or a perceived expertise in this area. I want people to see me. I'll use me as an example. I want people to see me as a video guy, a story guy, a guy that can tell and teach people how to tell story, can help them find their unique value and maximize their gifts and talents. So I create, that is my intention, and then I strategize posts, I strategize videos, and I strategize LinkedIn engagement that are along those lines. So I will map out a strategy for a week or a month and say, I'm going to do this set of posts. I'm going to do this set of engagements with these calls to action. So it's like creating a marketing plan. So step one is to have a goal. And the goal can't just be, I need to make a bunch of money from social media. Okay, that's fine. You got to ask how and how and how, and do what by when several times to get down to a specific plan. But the first step is having a clear intention. What do you want your social media engagement to do for you, and by when? I want to have 2,000 YouTube subscribers in 3 months so that I will have that many people. Every time I put a video up, it goes to my subscribers automatically, and I will have half of those videos that have a call to action to either get on my list or go to a place where they can get a free gift and get engaged with me, or to go to a strategy session where I can talk to them about coaching, either marketing or business. So that is a plan. So not having a plan is the first reason social media strategies fail. It is also the first thing you need to do if you want to make them succeed. So figuring out exactly what you want to do with it is the first piece. Now, I may be talking too fast, and you may be thinking, I don't know how to do this. Oh, too much. You need a coach then. Get a coach, get somebody to help you. But that is the correct way to do it. And getting the help you need is easy, it's available, and it will save you a lot of time and money. Sure did me. All right, so the second thing I hear all the time is, I'm going to move my slides. We did social media for business. So then I get this question, what if I don't? You know, what if I just don't do that? I'm getting some referrals. What if I don't? Okay. What if you don't? The rest of that question is, what if your competitors do? What if your competitors hire me or someone like me who is an expert in creating story, in creating purpose, in creating presence online, and they eat your lunch? So ignoring it is not a good strategy. Pretending it's not important is not a good strategy. So when people ask me, well, what if I just ignore it? My answer, you're dead. Start planning your funeral. The next question I get all the time is, what if I'm afraid? The answer to that's really simple. Get over it. And people say to me, well, that's easy for you to say. And the answer is no, it actually isn't. I had the same issue as a very young person, with public speaking and so forth. I was able to overcome that quickly. My dad was in Toastmasters, and I was an introverted nerd in high school that nobody liked, but I have become quite the opposite, and I have spoken around the world on stages and platforms and become an accomplished speaker. But learning how to speak and learning how to be powerful on video and communicate your message effectively and reach the lens into people's emotions and so forth is a skill that can be learned. It is not magic. It is a process. You know that it can be learned because when you go see a movie and it pulls on your heartstrings and you get sad or you get happy or you get engaged with the story and the people that are online, they have successfully grabbed a hold of you. You can learn to do that with your video online. And that is the key to making this kind of engaging social media work for you. So the question is, what if I'm afraid to be on video? What if I'm afraid to speak? What if I'm afraid to have people see me? I have clients tell me that all the time, and the answer is get over it. And then, of course, the next question is, well, how do I do that? And the answer is with some coaching and with some help. You can get over it. You can become excellent. You can create a unique, powerful, personal story that will attract ideal clients to you like a magnet. The only question is, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to put in the effort and practice to make it happen? Now, undoubtedly, there are great things that you've done in your life, things that were difficult, things you had to work for, and so forth. This is no different. This is something you can learn to do, and you can learn to do it effectively and well, because there are plenty of people that have learned to do it effectively and well that are willing to help you. So there's no reason. Okay, the third thing is, what if I don't know how? And that might be technically, someone says, I don't know how to do these Hangouts. Someone says, I don't know how to sound good. My audio sounds awful. All those things are fixable. They're fixable very quickly. Information is free, and coaching help is available as well from lots of different sources. YouTube videos are a beautiful place to get all kinds of help because, like I told you, YouTube's the largest search engine, and there are 100 hours of video added every minute, I think, to YouTube, or a much larger number than that. That's a number that just popped in my mind, and I didn't have it in front of me. But an enormous amount of video is added every minute to YouTube, and it's on across all ranges of subjects. So help is available, coaching is available. There are all kinds of ways to get over both the I'm afraid of it and the I don't know how to do it. So none of those are viable reasons for you not doing it. All right, so then let's go back to the path. The first step we talked about, here's the way I summarize that. Purpose, connection, and benefit. You got to have a purpose, make a connection, and then you get the benefit. So the first thing is the purpose. We talked about that a minute ago, and that is exactly what am I trying to do with this social media campaign? YouTube, Pinterest, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever it is. What am I trying to do in a week, in a month? You know, what's my strategy? What do I want the outcome to be? The next thing is to start execution, okay? And that is make the connection. Make the connection to your ideal client. And you begin to make that connection by being authentic, creating authenticity and trust through appropriate vulnerability and authenticity on video. Video is, there's no question, there's no doubt about it, the most powerful way to engage people, the most powerful way to reach people's thoughts and feelings and get them to know, like, and trust you. You can do it faster that way than any other way. And it's not a surprise. We can see all kinds of stuff about people when we have video that we can only get part of when we do audio, and even less when we read words. So the first part of your path from engagement to cash is have a purpose and some deadlines, implement so that you can start to create some connection, and then create a funnel or a process to handle prospects. So what that looks like is simple. There are plenty of Facebook and YouTube applications where you can actually collect email addresses right from Facebook and right from YouTube. There are applications where you can stream Hangouts like this into Facebook. There are applications of all kinds where you can get email addresses for further communication from all of the social media. So it turns into cash when you have a plan, when you make the connection by providing consistent and engaging content or posts. I have a big long acronym that I use. It's kind of funny, but it says show up consistently. I think it's su qui sit lopazzi, right? Who can spell that? Show up consistently with engaging content in the language of the pain or pleasure of the prospect. If you do that, you begin to establish rapport. So the path from engagement to cash is have a plan, create that rapport with executing of the plan, and then have a follow-up system so that you can have the number of touches that are required to get somebody to buy. And that's somewhere between 3 and may be as many as 7 or 10. But I can tell you, for example, again, I have a client right now that is gone through that process, not interested, a few more touches, maybe, a few more touches, okay, another client. So that follow-up process is critical. The neat thing is that all of the tools are available easily to do all of that. To gather the info, to gather names and emails, to follow up, it just takes planning and execution. And that execution is the place, well, planning, both planning and execution is where people don't. They're afraid, they don't think they know how, or they don't think it'll work, or whatever. And what I'm here to tell you today is the final, sort of conclusion before we go to Q&A is, if you don't do this, you're leaving money on the table. And since you now know this, you're leaving money on the table on purpose because you don't want it. And I'll go even further. That means you really don't want to serve your client as good as you could and do as much for them as you could. So that is the story of social media, gone from irrelevant to peripheral to central. It has gone from hard to do without a lot of impact to easy to do with massive impact. It has gone from not too many resources to make it work for you to tons of applications and lots of people to help you. Speed to profit marketing is a fantastic system that is one way, and it is the best way, to get this to work for you. Now, it's certainly not a fit for everybody. And that's the path to engagement and the path to riches. If your engagement is money, for some people that I know, their engagement is a message. They're trying to spread a message. I have one client right now whose huge message is human trafficking, and they are working on spreading, that message, and they're looking for money just in terms of fundraising, but them getting rich is not the issue. So it doesn't have to be riches in terms of money. It has to be, you have to have your outcome defined. In that particular case, it's a message. But the path and the process that we've talked about is exactly the same. So that is all of the message. And I'm going to go take a look and see about questions, Q&A. So let me look in the chat box. Okay, what about Instagram or Pinterest, etc.? They are viable social media. Instagram and Tumblr particularly are more popular among a younger demographic. The demographic on Facebook is older, a little bit older. Some of the kids have fled off Facebook. Maybe they didn't like their parents spying on them. I'm not sure. But I didn't talk about Pinterest and Instagram, but they are absolutely viable and powerful social media. I know someone right now who has built an entire business who is on track this year to make $500,000, who built most of their business through Facebook and Instagram, and started a lot with Instagram because they had a business that was centered very, very, very heavily on pictures. So I wouldn't discount any of those at all in terms of using them. We just didn't have time to cover all the social media. I barely touched on the ones that I did as it was. I mean, a comprehensive Facebook strategy, if I was working with you one-on-one, would take 2 or 3 or 4 hours to develop, and it would involve a lot with what your product is, who you're trying to reach, who's your avatar, and so forth. And the same thing with a good Twitter or a good LinkedIn strategy, and particularly with a good YouTube strategy, because that involves making a lot of videos and so forth. So the other social media are viable and they are important. I didn't use them as examples today because I use the largest ones, but I certainly wouldn't ignore them in any way. All right, but you have to pick your battles. If you're a small shop and you don't have 5 people, you're not going to have good luck trying to do huge presence on all the social media. And again, that has to do with your demographic. So depending on the age and the income level and several other factors, that influences which social media they frequent the most, and that would be where you'd want to put your efforts. All right, let me take a look and see if there are any more questions. Ta-da. Ta-da, ta-da. This is where I get to squint and get up close to the camera because I see a bunch of interaction. That's wonderful, but not any more questions. That's perfect. So I'm going to thank you all for coming today. I'm going to unmute all the mics and see if anybody that's here, either Jason, Joy, Bob, or Zubin, if you have any questions, and then we'll just unmute it here for a minute. And if there are no other questions live, then we will. You can unmute yourselves. Please unmute yourselves.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Joy?
Hi.
Jason?
Bob had something in the chat box about LinkedIn.
Bob, are you there?
He's muted. Jason's there.
Hey, Jason.
I'm here.
Bob, do you have a question?
Oh, his mic isn't working. It said, do you trust LinkedIn? They seemed at one time a while back to mail to all my contacts. This, in my mind, is a no-no.
So let me tell you, there's a strategy. There's a strategy that some people have used that I don't like. And all of you that have got your mics unmuted, that's fine, but turn your speakers down just a little bit because we're getting some echo. There's a strategy that LinkedIn is available on LinkedIn. You can use it, and I don't like it. And that is this. You can go join a group, okay? When you join the group, you can email to everybody in the group. Okay, so Bob, in your particular case, if you belong to a group and somebody else joins that group, you can blast an email to everybody in the group, and it feels just like spam because it's like I don't even know this person. That is a misuse of what they intended. If you want to do that, here's a way to do it that's way more effective and appropriate and, in my mind, ethical. There's nothing unethical about sending too many emails, but if you participate regularly in a group, you start a lot of threads. People comment. You are a recognized contributor, and then you send an email to several people in the group that is relevant to things you've been doing. It will be received in a completely different way. So, Bob, for example, if you were in a group and you suddenly got an email from someone in that group who you had seen them all the time, making comments and starting threads and so forth, that wouldn't feel anywhere near as spammy to you or as strange as someone who just joins a group and then sends emails out. So I know someone who's even built software to do that, and they claim, you get all these leads. I don't like it. So there's a way to do it right, there's a way to do it wrong, and guess what? It turns around just the normal social graces of getting to know people and the normal reasonable activity with establishing rapport before you start saying, hey, buy my stuff. That irritates anybody and everybody. So that's a good question. Anybody else with questions before we end? All right, everybody's muted. Thank you all for coming today. I really have enjoyed our hangout and hope you've got some good value. This will go on the YouTube channel. It will be in the Speed to Profit Marketing playlist. And if I counted right, this is the number 19. This is my 19th Hangout, Speed to Profit Marketing. So, oh, I see someone just came in. Let's see.
Thank you. It was very good.
You betcha. All right. Thanks, you all, for coming. And we'll see you in the next Hangout. Oh, I didn't even do this. There's another one I'm going to do. I got another slide here. We're going to do the next Hangout a week from today. And I will announce the topic in a little bit. So the 20th Speed to Profit Marketing Hangout, and then there's a free gift. Here. Hey, hold on, everybody. You want something free? So I have something free for you just because you've been here. It is the Speed to Profit Marketing. This is a story template, a story blueprint, actually. So this is the first step in learning how to use your story really powerfully. If you don't already have this, go to speedtoprofitmarketing.com/story2. The URL's right there on the screen. Speedtoprofitmarketing.com/story2. And you'll get a story blueprint that I created to help people learn to create what I call customer hooks and magnets with your your personal story. It teaches you how to think about events in your life that have shaped you and how to relate them to needs that your clients might have. It's a way of thinking about important events that have shaped your life, and it is something that I do, and I created this for my $40,000 mastermind. So it is a powerful tool. It is one that all my high-end clients use, and I'm giving it to you because you came on the Hangout today. So if you want this, go to that URL that's on the screen, and you can have it. Yes, you have to opt in. Oh, well, I don't send out too many emails, so it won't be too annoying. The other one is our next Hangout will be at noon Pacific next Wednesday. We're going to have Hangout Wednesday here for a while. And the last thing is, if you want to contact me, there are a couple of URLs and emails on that last slide. So if contacting me is something you'd like to do, I'd love to hear from you. If you want to know more about the event, speedtoprofitmarketing.com/event, please. It's June 30th, July 1st, and 2nd. Going to be a killer event. The one we had in March was awesome. Great results, great people, good stuff. And then we're going to have this one at the end of the month. And it's also going to be great, and I've got some really special stuff that have just showed up in the last couple of weeks. So really exciting. And again, thank you one more time for being here. And with that, I'll sign off.